Hi. You've all gotten the message by now about some of the changes that we're making in our class schedule, so I just want to talk to you a little bit about how that's going to look. I know one of the primary concerns that you have is when are you going to hear about how you did on your exam? And so you're not going to have to wait until after the UCE conference to get that information. We'll be sending out some feedback with some embedded audio, and I'll be emailing that out to each of you individually. So that's on the way. The second thing is that even though we're going to have our conversation of some of the student right issues, particularly rights to free speech, shortened a bit by the schedule, I'm moving some of those discussions to the discussion board online, and I will bring some of that back into the classroom when I return from the conference. So there will be time for us to talk about that in class. I do think there's some important issues there I want to make sure we're not missing. So whatever gaps I see in the discussion board, I'll either push you to flesh out a little bit further online, or I'll simply just bring those into the classroom when I return. The next thing is there's a case that I want you to consider on the discussion board. And the case has to do with a sophomore high school student by the name of Johnny. And Johnny learns that there's a newspaper article, a brief article, in the newspaper having to do with a teacher at the high school that Johnny attends. And this teacher has just been convicted of a third DUI offense. And what Johnny does is photocopies that news piece that has the teacher's name in it, mentions that where this teacher is a teacher, and confirms that it is the third DUI offense for this person. Makes enough photocopies to hand out to the entire school, brings those copies to school at the school cafeteria during lunch as people are waiting in line either to buy their lunch or people who are sitting at their tables who have brought their own lunch, hands out without comment copies of this article. So with that being the case itself, how do you as an administrator respond to Johnny? I want you to think about this both legally and from a leadership perspective. There are several questions to consider. And to a large extent, I'm going to leave you to not only answer those questions, but to figure out what the questions are. At this point in the class, you should be able to think through, both legally and from a leadership perspective, what kinds of questions should you be asking here. So I'm going to pop a discussion thread on our discussion board that'll get this conversation rolling. Now, one of the things I want you to consider with Johnny is, does it matter where Johnny is doing this? Does it matter if there's anything else written on this flyer? Does it matter if Johnny adds additional comment? And if so, why? What kinds of comment might you hear from Johnny? What kinds of venues, other than the school cafeteria, might make a difference, if you believe that it would? And be specific about why. So I'll open a pretty generic thread for you to consider those issues. As you have questions, post them on the discussion board. I'm looking forward to hearing your response and learning about how you would handle young Johnny.